Sora is going to be launching for preview tomorrow. That's why we'll be taking a quick look at it before people start diving in for the actual balloting. Anyway, let's take a look at the development itself. I would say it's quite nice, but is it me or is it do you guys feel the same? That don't you feel the facade kind of feels quite similar? I would say almost strikingly similar to Lake Garden Residence. I'm not sure whether is it like they got some inspiration from it, but it definitely seems that it's quite obvious that they are trying to maximize the views towards the lake lah, because that's the whole point of this location being not that close to MRT, being not that close to anything else, and still having this I think this is the main attraction lah. That's why they're trying to milk it like this. Anyway, let's move on. These are the small little things, and this is the pictures of the artist's impression of how it's gonna be. If you're buying a non-Lakeview unit and you're trying to go for Lakeview when your friends are over, don't worry about it. You just have to go to the top floor, and then you're gonna get still get the Lakeview. And this kind of concept reminds me of what's that development, which is Amber Park, that you can go upstairs, still have a look out at the sea view without having to pay for it, which is quite nice. It's not that it's free because you're still paying for the maintenance, and the maintenance here is not cheap at all. So yeah, so that's why when people say, hey, you get free, it's not that you get free, you pay for it, so you might as well use it, right? This is the site plan, which is quite standard. 2 pools, 1 tennis court, and here and there. But the interesting one is that it's a very linear piece of land with, if I'm not wrong, it's almost like a 300-meter frontage from what I remember. And then this is more of a top view. That it's quite a lot of stuff up there lah. And hopefully they have pretty good outdoor facilities that doesn't spoil that easily in terms of weather. Because the one thing that I'm not sure whether you guys notice or is it just me, let me know also in the comments that don't you find that quite a lot of the outdoor facilities are pretty poor quality that is provided by developer or provided by the MCSD, that you tend to have some more or stuff growing after just a while, which is quite sad lah, because it's not well thought out. All these things could have been done way better. But of course, we know there are some things happening behind the scenes, but it's just unfortunate as it is. This is the location, which is quite far away from MRT. For those MRT fanatics, this is definitely not a project for you. For those, unfortunately, a lot of Singaporeans, once they see MRT, they flock towards it like flies towards likes. Yeah, unfortunately. But that is where a lot of people make the wrong decision and then lose quite some chunk of profits. But unfortunately, that's just the way it is if they choose not to be rational. So previously it was Parkview Mansions. You get quite a lot of view over here, and there's quite a lot of features in the Jurong Lake area. And Lake Life is the current competitor, because this guy is already en bloc, and then is the Lake Garden currently already still selling. Launched last year, August if I remember correctly. Jaden was more of was it this year or last year November? Yeah, I think thereabouts. And Jaden is at the other side, which is not inside this map, unfortunately. But this one is transacting, if I'm not wrong, about 1,003, 1,004 PSF. Ooh. But if this one, developer has given an indication that they're going to be launching at 2180 PSF, will that price gap be too big if you're buying for investment? That's the question. Okay, not to say that you cannot buy, but you have to be very careful about how you enter, what you enter into, and then how you're gonna exit. Because ultimately, how you make money is about how you enter and how you exit. In spite of all the factors that everyone is saying, you need this one, you need that one, you need MRT, good schools, M4s, or freehold, whatever, all sorts of nonsense. But at the end of the day, it's just as simple as you buy and sell, and then that buy sell equals to profits. Simple as that. So this is the Sora for for this area, and then over here you have all these supply that are competition. Interesting thing, later we will share a little bit more on the surrounding supply. This is Lake Life, and then the whole chunk over here, white color, which a lot of people are just saying that there's gonna be a lot of development in this area, which is not wrong, because I think is not that far away. You can witness what is happening. Definitely you will be hearing quite a lot of noise because this is a huge chunk, massive chunk of land that's going to undergo a lot of transformation over the years, which is supposedly a good thing, because if you are thinking about transforming the area, how is it going to affect the price? May or may not be directly affected, because there are a lot more factors that are going to be contributing to that, because price is not as simple as, oh, you just one piece of land lodge and definitely the confirm the plus chop the price will go up. It doesn't work that way. There are a lot of other factors that are behind it. But the good thing is that you have 5 of large developers, some of our largest developers, combining forces to develop this piece of super big white piece of land. There's a lot of commercial, residential, and also a lot of other stuff ongoing. But the question now is that whether they will come to an agreement on having the best for everyone, because ultimately all these are not charitable organizations. They are going to be having their own interests. How they iron out their differences is going to be a big question mark. So, we are not a developer, so that's the least of our worries as consumers. But of course, if they make a wrong decision, everyone in this area kena, right? And this is location map. These are the schools or whichever others that you may be more concerned of. But all this can be shown seen at the show flat, so I shall not be spending too much time on this. Then let's see. Total of 440 units. Car parks, interestingly, despite the distance away from MRT, 352 lots only, with 4 accessible lots. 2 blocks, one is 20 story, the other one is 12 story. And the unfortunate thing is that, not just for this development, I think we are seeing more and more of the new brand new launches. The smaller units are already commanding $380 excluding GST. So of course all these are estimate. Mobile one lah. Today they tell you this estimate, but next time they may actually jack it up because of claims of inflation, claims of increased costs here and there, everything else, which we have seen in recent TOP developments. There are quite a lot of hoo-has, but hopefully this doesn't happen to Sora, because this is already quite high already. 2 bedrooms, $456 excluding GST. That means if you add in GST, it's almost about $500 just for a 2-bedder. For people that are buying for investment, rental, especially when the rental market weakens a lot, you would definitely feel the effect on top of the $500 per month, which is going to erode quite a lot of cash flow. 3 bedrooms, $500+, excluding GST. If you add it up, it's almost about $600+. The biggest you need $600+, you're going to be easily forking out about $670+. And that is based on current. Hopefully they don't increase further. If they increase further, then it's going to be even more unfortunate. But it seems that this is going to be the new trend. Previously, the previous launches are the 2018, 2020, maybe even 2021 launches. There are still units they are going at about $1,200 as low as $1,200+, all inclusive, per month for maintenance fees. But now we are easily looking at $300-400. You may say that, it's getting more and more expensive because they are getting money here and there, but we have to admit that costs have actually really gone up. Costs of food and fuel, everything else, interest, everything has really gone up. And I don't think it is the developers trying to pocket money lah. Let's just keep it as it is lah, because costs of everything has really increased. But it seems to be the norm. Of course, if you are violently against it, can run for MCST chairman lah, and then try to change things lah. But as of now, from what we are seeing, this is going to be quite high. That's why for those people who are super hard up on cash flow, you are buying it mostly for rental, and you are going for cash flow strategy, this may not be the option for you, unfortunately. And nowadays, if we look at how weak the rental market for private side is, at least for the mass market to almost about before luxury cars are different. Luxury cars is a totally different level. But if you look at anything below, it is not as doing as well because of the sheer amount of supply in the market right now. And when things like that happen, cash flow focused investors are going to be hit very, very hard. Sora for it was, I think it's subjected to pre-harmonization measures. That means it's not included in the GFA. that developers are allowed to sell before being charged by the government. That's why they're still selling the AC one. In case you're wondering about the Lentor Mansion, they're selling at the kind of price. Lentor Mansion they are not selling inclusive of aircon ledge space. Of course, they still sell the aircon ledge, but it's not exclusive with the PSF. But this one is still inclusive of the PSF, and they are trying to command 2180 PSF on average, which is not cheap, given the location, of course. But it seems to be what it is. As simple as that. The government, not the government, the developers know that you're willing to pay. People are willing to pay for OCI in that kind of price already. So why would they want to shortchange themselves, especially when they're running a business? I mean, if you're a businessman, you're the developer, and you think from their point of view, then I think you will get what I mean, lah. I'm not gonna focus too much on layout. It's just that I personally love dumbbell layouts. Of course, there are some that they don't like to see their own family for whatever reason. It's unfortunate. Maybe some of them say, the tenant don't want to see their tenant. Whatever it is. But I think this is a very efficient layout. I will gladly see my own family rather than corridor. There's visitor space. But I mean, to each of his own, right? And then even this one is a pretty decent layout in my opinion. That's why I don't really like to focus on layout, because layout is very subjective. What I like about a certain layout does not mean that you like about a certain layout. There are quite a lot of people that I know like dumbbell layout. And there are some people that I know Dynai cannot have dumbbell layout. so that's why a good layout is very, very subjective. There's no point debating about it. At the end of the day, you just need to know what are you actually getting. Okay, and then these are further for artist impression, which are quite not bad, quite nice. Then we look at supply within 1 km. It seems over here that it's less than 1,000 units within a 1 km radius, which is very, very undersupply in this area. So hooray for people who are buying into Lake Garden, Sora, right? But this is just a 1 km guide. People don't just look at 1 km. Usually I just use 1 km. But if you just do a little bit more, not just 2 km, you just need a little bit more, we can see that the 900 plus immediately grows up to 9,000, almost 10 times the unit supply in the area. And this is it's just fortunate and unfortunate that the rest of the supply are just outside the 1 km radius. But it doesn't mean that they are not your competitors. They are definitely your competitors, especially those that are very close to the MRTs, and if they are a lot cheaper. That's why you have to be more careful on this. These are some of the pointers you may want to note. Also, there are a lot of factors like this that a lot of the consumers they kind of neglect. But of course, distance to MRT and total supply in the area is not the only factors behind it. And we have seen quite some other examples, but the key is to make sure you check out as many of the checklists to reduce your risk as much as possible and invest as an investor. Parkview Mansions over here, this is the price. I work out the highest bid PSF is about slightly over 1,000, and then that gives us a break even of 1,800 plus HG. It could be even higher, thereabouts, but nobody knows as an example because all these figures are estimated. But if we use 1,800 plus and we look at the starting from price, which is about 1,800 plus, it kind of makes sense that it's just that the funny thing over here is that they are starting the small units. Last time the small units tend to be the most highest PSF, but now it seems to be the Malay already, because we know that the trend is that the smaller units are not really that popular anymore, unfortunately. So that is the trends change, market change, so do humans, and this is just something that we have to cope with. Starting price 900 plus 1,000, less than 1 million, which is almost unheard of in this market. But if you are telling people that one per study you want to stay in Jurong, I can tell you straight away there are a lot of clients and buyers that are telling me, I want to stay Jurong at the kind of price, because there are still some people who think that 1 million I can buy a very luxurious house, and then you're telling I can only buy one per study at Jurong. They're gonna be in for a big shock. 2 bedrooms are gonna be starting at about 2,000 PSF. And then 3 bedrooms are going to be starting at 2,150 PSF. It seems that the 3 bedrooms they are preparing to be the most popular in the area, and that's why they are very optimistic about this. But if you are looking at this one are starting at this PSF, this one starting at this PSF, this is going to be quite a big I don't know. I would say their range is pretty interesting. I wouldn't say totally surprising, but I would say it's quite interesting that you choose to strategize it this way. But let's just take a look. It'll be previewed tomorrow. Launch itself, it'll be almost about 2 weeks later. Then Lento Mansion now is already 81% sold, so they are using it as a gauge. That's why you are seeing that currently all the OCR prices are pretty much almost around the Lento Mansion kind of price already, because they are using it as a reference. Starting price 1850, which is just for the OnePlus study. They are doing a lot of research on other projects in the area, which is in specific reference, which is definitely Lake Garden Residence, because if you're looking at the lowest PSF in Lake Garden, it's also about 1,800 plus. Not a big unit also. That's why it is they are probably using almost about the same strategy. If you are expecting it to be cheaper just because their land price is cheaper, then I don't think that's really gonna happen. But the interesting thing is that this is the bigger piece of land out of the tree, and that's why it may have a little bit of advantage in terms of landscaping and other stuff. I was wrong. Maybe it's just 39%, not 31%. So my bad. 39% of Lake Garden is sold at average of 2134 PSF. Whereas Jadon is sold over 90% at 2,400 plus PSF. Wow, this is even higher than some of the CCR projects that we are seeing already. For those people who are still insisting on the CCR, you'll be surprised to see that these are the kind of things that is happening. These are facts. These are already published on URA. There's nobody that can cheat you. It's days of CCR in terms of CBD, CCR, our first CBD, not talking about the second CBD. The original CBD is really not as popular as most people, the olden days people kind of think anymore. It's just a totally different market altogether now already. But if people still insist on going there, then they have to be prepared to face the consequences lah. Sora is obviously the largest one we should already talk about it already. Land price is like what I calculated already. It's about slightly over 1,000, which is 18.2% lower than Lake Garden Residence. That means they have a lot of margin to play around with. If let's say they don't do well, they have the ability to drop price and still make rather substantial profits. That is something that you may need to be a little bit more aware of compared to those guys at Lake Garden Residence. So if you're not very savvy in the numbers, you may overlook this, but this is quite an interesting fact. I'm not saying that they'll definitely drop price, but they have that plan B if they do if they do end up not being able to sell well, they can have that flexibility to go down, because they can in terms of break-even price, and this is their target right now. Then we take a look at some of the competitors in the area. The direct one right beside Lake Life, also diagonally opposite. These two are older resales, but not too old, less than 10 years apart. And then Jadon, which is already talked about a lot of times before already. The whole world is using it as an example, so I'm not talking about this. Lake Life is currently transacting about 1,400 plus PSF over here, and if you enter 2,1 plus something, it'll be almost at the same level of Lake Garden Residence, which is pretty much a proven development with that kind of transacted PSF. Lake Grande and also Lakeview are both transacting about 1,700 plus to 1,900 plus PSF. Which means that the margin between these guys and this guy over here is not too big. But considering if you're factoring in those people who are super sensitive to MRT, must be within walking distance to MRT, then unfortunately Sora is gonna be within their range. Of course, it will be rather shallow to be just looking at those lah. But there will always be this kind of people lah. You just need to know lah. But if you look at Sora versus the directly neighbor opposite diagonally, then this will be a huge gap. Just because it's easy doesn't mean that you will always stay cheaper than the private condo. But this is a little bit too big of a gap that you may want to focus on. So, to keep it short, I think if we have 3 of these that is ongoing, ultimately, if I were to choose between the 3, I think definitely this is going to be our last choice lah. First of all, land, and then price itself, And then I see people cheering hot at 2,800 plus PSF. I'm like, wow, the one that is hot is the developer. Maybe even the agent also. But but I can't believe what people are actually doing. And over here we have Lake Garden Residence. And out of the three, I think this is obviously the last one. If you are comparing, let's say the price is almost pretty much the same, then ultimately, unfortunately, I'm still gonna think that Sora is gonna be the best one out of the three. I'm not saying Sora is the one that you should be buying today, because there are a lot of other choices right now. But if you're only tied down to the Lake Garden, the I keep saying Lake Garden, yeah, the Jurong Lakeside area, and this is your only choice, and then, or rather, this is the only thing you can afford, I personally think that maybe on the more superficial level, because there are a lot of other things that's going to be considered, right? It's not just overall average price only. There are a lot of other micro details that we have to look into. But if I'm looking at the most shallow point of view out of the three, then definitely I'll be choosing Sora out of the three. But like I said, don't just take my word for it, because there are a lot of other factors that you have to be aware of. Make sure you do your due diligence, consult the right professional help before you really commit as an investment. Of course, you really just want to buy for own stay and you really can't be bothered too much. You just want to buy something that you really, really like, then just go for whichever makes you feel good. I think that's just the easiest way to do it. Okay. And for those of you who are thinking, Xiao Jurong selling at this kind of price, unfortunately, we are seeing that these two are TOP almost at the same time. In fact, this one, if I'm not wrong, is slightly newer and definitely much better looking and definitely much more classier. But today we are looking at their prices almost merging already. This is a totally different thing. And this is prime CBD, CCR, both are 99 years. This is on your second CBD. But prices are almost the same. So if you're still harping on the fact that on the CCR is king, unfortunately, I don't think this is the right way to go. But of course, if you want to insist on it, nobody's obliged to change your mind. You can just continue with your school of thought. But what we are saying over here is facts. So if you are looking around for help, so make sure you reach out, and I will see how I can help. That will be all we have for today, and see you guys. Bye bye.